Limp Bizkit filed a real big lawsuit against its label, but you guys had a lot of comments.
Are you telling me that Limp Bizkit got zero royalties and waited until now to file a lawsuit? Something doesn't seem right.
Universal came in, they said, we want the entire case thrown out. I feel like they just made this so difficult that we just would never come and claim our royalties. Limp Bizkit filed a real big lawsuit against its label, Universal, which included its imprint, Interscope, and was alleging all kinds of things, including significant underpayment, as in they were claiming they literally had never been paid any royalties ever. So that's quite the claim. And they even went so far as to say, well, Universal is making it so unbelievably difficult for us to even set up an account with them that they intentionally were trying to withhold royalties. And then lo and behold, when we came knocking, they were like, oh yeah, we have like $1 million or $2 million for you. So that was the short of it with the complaint, which we covered in detail in a different video. And then we did the follow-up, which is Universal answered. And Universal came back with a motion to dismiss. And Universal goes, we're just going to crush
They
you.
went in, yeah.
You made procedural mistakes. There was a choice of law for a different state that you were supposed to file with. And then also, by the way, you said in your complaint that like you never knew that we had royalties to pay you. But actually, a year before all this happened, we contacted your business manager. And your business manager said, hey, the guys have sold off their rights to the music. And so there's no royalties that need to be paid to them. So if true, yikes. Okay. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. But you guys had a lot of conversation and comments. Let's get into those comments.
Are you telling me that Limp Bizkit, who rose to fame in the 90s, so let's call that 30 years, got zero royalties and didn't realize this and waited until now to file a lawsuit? Something doesn't seem right here.
I think that's a fair observation. And that's sometimes the question that I have, because I have people contact my office for copyright infringement claims and unpaid royalty claims and all kinds of things. And sometimes when it's, hey, this is a song from 20 years ago and I never have gotten paid, a question that I have and I ask is, I'm like, okay, what have you done before contacting me? And if this is literally the first time that someone is contacting a lawyer, I'm just like, why? Why did you wait so long? Because sometimes we have problems about statutes of limitations. If you wait too long to bring certain claims, the law sometimes cuts you off and they go, you waited too long. I don't know. What do you think?
I think sometimes also people are scared to do it. I think people are scared or overwhelmed by whatever process it is and get lazy or complacent and just like, assume, whatever, I don't make money. It's just the music business. They never, whatever. It could be something as simple as just never even saying something or willing to go sit down with an attorney because you're intimidated for some of that. I mean, I think that could be some reasons why people wait anyway.
Yeah. And to the point about the kind of lack of transparency with the accounting, 100%. I can tell you as the person who negotiates these deals with major labels, we can negotiate all day long, but labels are notorious for not accounting properly, for not being transparent, for not providing the statements when they need to provide the statements. And I think they do that for at least sometimes it's just a headache. Like it really is. That's why I felt like there was some merit to Limp Bizkit being like, I feel like they just made this so difficult that we just would never come and claim our royalties.
And we keep hearing about how these record labels are constantly laying off employees and restaffing, and people get shuffled in and they got to teach people new process. I'm not like just trying to make excuse for labor, but I'm just saying like just the accounting process of all that and having to report to however many artists that Universal overseas. I can't imagine what of an actual logistical headache some of that has to be. Now, not making an excuse for it at all. They need to figure that out. That's their business. They got to pay people. They can't just go, oh, that's the area that we're going to skimp on by hiring people.
I think Ren Not Ren just made a really good point. So he goes, do you think, some artists think that the advance that they get, right? So this big, because we read in the complaint, hey, we got signed. We had like 3 different contracts. One of the contracts was for whatever, $7 million in the advance. And so do you think maybe they sign, they get a big payday, and then they're told, you're not going to collect any royalties for a long time because the label has to recoup. And then also the label's paying millions of dollars to pay for your albums, promote your albums, put you on tour. And so maybe the explanation is just that you don't have an expectation that you're going to get royalties for years and years and years. Right. And so 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by, and then all of a sudden you are decades beyond and you're like, you know what? Seems fishy. I fight tooth and nail when it comes to the accounting provision, but also it's auditing. So the thing that I know might come up for our clients is that we may need to go poke between the books and see what's going on. And so it's defining that we are allowed to audit, that we basically will get our auditing fees paid and reimbursed if it turns out that they've been underpaying So I fight very hard for that. In fact, I do a lot of, tech stuff, I do business stuff, and it's just like, what does my client want? Typically, if you guys are signing music contracts, you want to know how long is it for, how much money are you going to get paid, when do you get paid, what is the label, right, or company going to do on your behalf. It's just making sure things are spelled out, because I just go, look, we think this is going to be great. The only reason why you're saying you want to sign with Universal is because you think it's going to go great. If it doesn't go great,
Right.
my job is to say, how do we get out of this contract quickly? How can we audit the books? How can we get paid? How can we make sure that if we sue, we can sue where I'm licensed, and so we can make sure I can go take this to court for you. I don't have to go find a new attorney. Like, trust me, we go through all the things.
Here was another question on the video. I was wondering how far along the parties are in the discovery process. The UMG emails, slide decks, financial accounting reports, and employee salary review may shed light on the true nature of Limp Bizkit's earnings. If Limp Bizkit
Mm.
was making money for UMG, there may have been bonuses paid to specific employees. And I thought that was interesting because, yeah, we're talking about early on in Limp Bizkit's career. I mean, this is a long time ago when they were, young bands, when they still had A&R people that would get bonuses for when they would, sign people, or when records go up, these executives would get bonuses. It would be kind of funny if they do those financial checks and they find that some of these employees were getting more bonuses and the band was getting paid on their
Mm.
payouts.
It could just be tricky because you get to discovery and sometimes people have paid 30, 40, 50, $60,000 because of whatever. Like in this case, Universal came in and did a motion to dismiss. They didn't answer. They said, we want the entire case thrown out. That's a very expensive process for them to draft and file it. And then now Limp Bizkit's attorneys have to respond. And so
Yeah.
this is how you end up just paying, tens of thousands of dollars out the nose right away, and then maybe you'll get to discovery. And so sometimes it just sucks because it's whoever has the money to pay. The one good thing for Limp Bizkit is that allegedly, right, there's about $3 million paid in
Right.
back royalties from Universal. So they have some cash right now to pay for the litigation for a while.
I think that's gonna go really fast and, depending how Limp Bizkit is splitting up that money. You sent me a video of Left Eye, from TLC talking about their experience and cutting up the pie of what it is to get your points for your album or whatever, and what that really translates and how that breaks down to if you have 3 members of your group, let alone, 5 or 6, and then depending on who wrote and who didn't, and what other kind of agreements that you have going on, if some of these guys are being paid as hired guns or if they're actually part of the band, different bands, and have different situation. Where do you see this going?
Guys, go watch the full analysis because we break down the actual motion to dismiss. But they have problems that they need to now fight. I don't know that the entire case is going to get thrown out, right? And so I think if anything, a portion of it might get handled because of the motion to dismiss. But I don't think the entire case is going to get thrown out because it's based on the 4 corners of the complaint. The court looks at it and goes, well, did they assert enough for it to be plausible that what they're saying is true? We're going to take everything that they said as true. And if it's true, can we proceed with the claims? Now, Universal being like, hey, there's like an issue because you have a contract. The contract said you were supposed to do this in a different court. That's a different thing. Some of those issues might get thrown out, but we'll see.
Back in the day, the record labels had a lot more power, and you were really hoping that when you signed, that you were just getting put in this machine that was just gonna spit you out and just make you the star. And I can see where a lot of these deals were made and not looked at right because you just didn't have the information in the early 2000s that you do in 2024 of what deals to kind of look at. You don't have access to YouTube. You don't have the social media to get your music out there to where you really don't need a label. Labels need creators, you know what I'm saying? Like, but just seeing how this all kind of works, I can see where these bands would have signed. But now, would you just kind of recommend people just to become their own record label or take out like a loan? Because at the end of the day, this all these banks, they're just kind of loaning you money that you have to pay back.
If you can teach yourself how to do this yourself, how to think like a record label, that if you do win and you have a song that goes viral and you build a fan base and you have whatever, that you get all the benefits of that. You don't share it with anyone. You don't have anyone else who's in control. So let's pretend Limp Bizkit was able to write its own good music and then build a team around itself. And so they owned their music at the end of all of this. They had all the revenues, but then they had to take on all the risk. They had to pay all the expenses. And so that's what a lot of people are hesitant to want to do. But they should. They should because you have to believe in yourself more than everyone else.
And just because you're getting that deal doesn't guarantee they're going to be able to pump you out. Labels are having a hard time just figuring out what to do at all. You could end
Right.
up getting shelves. You could have zero impact from, if especially if you're just signing with some independent label that just wants to sign you, and maybe you're the first rock. They're usually a hip hop label, and they want to sign their first rock act, and you're excited because this label does, like, what do they do for rock? Like, what other artists? If you're getting signed to something that has a lot of artists that you really like, and they're pitching you, putting you like in a big packages because they have that infrastructure and putting you like on a label kind of tour or something, I could see where some of that stuff could be appealing. But I mean, you really got to, at the end of the day, always build your own fan base first, so you have that leverage when these deals come across.
Drop a comment down below. What do you think? Let's keep following this story. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.